Hello, this is Pamela with Pamela's Portrayals, and today we are going to be doing a knife or impasto painting of an old barn, like right in the uh, late fall. And I have drawn a real rough outline of my barn. You can see here I started out, it was going to be too small. I decided to make it bigger. But I'm not worried about these lines in here because I'm going to be painting all that in with black. This is just going to help me do the paint on the outside. So these are some of the painting knives that I'm going to be using. Each one has a different feel to it in how you put the paint on, and some are specialty knives. Some are, let's see, this I got from Dick Blick. I've mixed these. This is Master Touch. These are Liquitex. And I have a whole lot of these different shapes and sizes. I'm going to start with this upper background. And these are the colors that I'm going to be using. I've got black, I've got white, I've got gray, I've got kind of a cream color, and then I've got a gray blue. So to get started, I think I'm going to start with this knife. And I like this angle because it's going to let me come in there and just really pull some of the paint with a real straight edge. So what I'm going to do is I go in here and I just kind of get some paint like that. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to kind of start pulling that out. Now, if you see that you've got some white lines in there, you're scraping too hard, that's not a problem. Some people like that look. If you want to soften it, then you just go over it flat. But I'm going to come in and I'm just going to, and this does not have to be perfect because like I said, I'm going to come in and do black over that whole area there. So I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm going to do different colors besides just this really dark blue. So for me, if I see some of this white that I've left on my canvas, is not a problem because I will be coming over it with other colors. But I do want to just outline my little barn area here. And I'm using regular Liquitex paint. You would not want to use a thin paint with this. I know some people use craft paint when they're painting, which you can use if you're using a brush. But when you're using a knife, you really need a thicker paint. And I wouldn't go anything lighter or less thick than the Liquitex brand. You can get some full-bodied paints, which are actually better. They are a little bit more expensive though, so I'm just using the regular Liquitex. There are some gel mediums that you can add to your paint to make it thicker. And I am not doing that either. I'm just using regular paint. See, when I flatten my knife, I get a much smoother look. And so it just depends on how you want your look. If you want it more choppy, use the edge. And if you want it more flat, you just kind of pull it over with the flat. Now, I do not paint along this side with my knife. I will take a brush, or sometimes I'll take my finger, take some paint, and just go along all of these edges. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Normally, when I'm painting like this, I'm using a smaller canvas. Normally, I would fasten this down to hold my canvas in place. You can see it's a little wobbly. But I don't have an easel small enough to lock this canvas in. So I need a little bit more of the blue. Now this is a really darker blue. You can certainly use a lighter color. You could add some white to this. But now, since I'm going to come up on this side, I am going to turn that sideways just so I can come in here and get a nice sharp line. And you can definitely move your painting so it's more comfortable for you. I do want this just right up against that, and I don't really want any openings. I don't want any white in there. I want that really close. Okay. Now, my barn is not perfect. I just kind of drew it together, so if it looks kind of lopsided on one side or the other, that's why, but I wasn't really worried. This is an old barn. It could be leaning, so I wasn't real worried about getting it perfectly accurate there as far as the angles and everything. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this up. I think I'm going to come over here and kind of go a little over that. And same over here. So, okay, I've got most of the background covered with the blue. Now I'm going to come back. I'm not cleaning my brush, but I'm going to come back and get some gray. And I'm just going to kind of mix some of this gray in, maybe over some of the spots that you can see through. Just a little bit of that gray. Remember, this is like a fall day, kind of winter out. No snow, but definitely cold. So we're using some muted colors. I'm going to come up here, kind of fill in some of those areas. And then I'm going to come in with some, let's make some clouds. Now I'm going to change this, and I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to clean it off though. If you wait too long and your paint starts drying on it like this one has, you can just dip that in some water and then come back. And I like to have a clean knife. I don't like to put my knives down with them being dirty or paint drying on them. That way you've always got a nice sharp edge if you need it. Okay, so now for the clouds, I'm going to use a different, and I could use either one of these and make me some clouds. I think I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get some of the cream kind of color. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to kind of come in there and just kind of put some of these little clouds in here. Going to be kind of real light, not going to go real thick over it. And I'm going to come over here and maybe put something over here. It's going to be a cloudy day. Now this one I'm mostly using flat. I'm not really using the edge too much in this one. I'll lighten some of this and just kind of smooth it out. Give it more of a little bit different kind of texture back there. Some more of that creamy kind of color. And some over here. Don't want them to all look the same. I'll put a little more up here at the top. Now this is just mixing right in with that blue. So it's not really a real strong color. And I need to come up a little closer right to the barn. You don't want to have like an outline around your barn. You want to be like right, have your clouds and sky go right up to the barn. We're going to paint all that in with black. And I'm going to put some different colors down here. So I am going to clean my brush off, or my knife off. And I just use paper towel to do that. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to get some white. And I've got it here on my knife. And I'm going to just come in and just kind of add some white, a couple of white things in there. Got kind of really too hard of an edge, so I'm going to soften that up a little bit. Maybe something over here. Need to come up over here and come off this edge. I don't want it all, like I said, you don't want it to look like you're leaving an area, like a margin or something around it. I'll come right up to it. Now when I'm doing this, the white, if you're making clouds, your white is going to be above your gray. Gray is kind of going to be the underneath part. So I've got a little bit of gray up here, a little bit of the cream color, but I'm going to add, I think, just a little bit more gray. Kind of give it some more definition here under this little cloud. And maybe some over here. And definitely some down here. It may be kind of hard to see. Looks like I got some glare here. Let me turn this. I might have too much glare. This is pretty thick paint and kind of shiny looking. I'm going to add some gray up here. A little bit more gray over here. Okay. I'll leave that again, clean my knife off. Now we're going to go in and just, I am for the barn, I'm going to go in, I could use, whoops, excuse me, hit my camera there. I'm going to go in and paint the barn with a brush. So I'm going to use a flat brush and just add just a little bit of water there. And come back with the black. I'm just going to come in and paint this. Now there's a reason that I'm using a brush for this part instead of the knife. and you'll see why when we get to doing the barn part. So I'm going to come down. I don't have to be too careful about staying in the lines down here on the ground, because I'm going to have ground cover down there. That's okay. I've pulled some blue in there. That's all right. I'm going to see if I can turn off this one light. Yeah, that looks a lot better. That way we don't have so much glare on this. Okay, I apologize if you've had to look at it with a lot of glare. Okay, so now I'm looking, where's my line? Looks like my line should have been right there when I started going down. And this actually comes up a little further. And then I'm going to come off. There's my little... Okay, so I've pretty much got that painted in. Now I do want to go right up next to that blue. I don't want to leave a bunch of space in between there. So even up here, I'm going to get a little closer to the blue and not have like a white outline. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush. Oh, I do see over here where I've got an area that I need to fix right there. So I think I'm going to come back though and do that with one of my, let's see, what color do I want? One of my knives. I'm just going to come right up there. Oops, I did not want to pull that black out. Just going to kind of, I've got a line there that's black. So I'm just going to come back with this knife and kind of put that back in. Maybe even up there. Okay. Now I'm going to put some color in down here, and I'm going to use some different colors. I'm going to use some browns and some kind of creamy yellows and gold. Excuse me. But for the background, normally things that are farther away from you are lighter than the things that are up close. So I'm actually going to use this bronze yellow, or if you had yellow oxide or yellow ochre, that would be a good color to use, but I'm going to use this color. It just happens to be here, so I'm going to use it. Okay, so I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take a different knife. I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to get some of that color on my knife, and I'm going to, I have to move this around a little bit because it's just hard to get to, but I'm going to just kind of add this color into the background here. Now when it mixes with the blue, it's kind of going to make a green color. And do the same thing over here. You can see my blue is still showing through. And I'm going to make it kind of different lengths. You don't want it all the same length. Very seldom do you want anything in your painting to ever be exactly the same as something else. Just kind of want, like if you're having grass or anything, you don't really want it to all be the same length. Okay, so I've got this on here, and I'm going to pull this down just a little bit, and maybe even, I'm not going to put anything in front of this because I'm going to be coming back with white. As a matter of fact, I might do that now. That way I can go over it. I'm just going to put some more here. I'm going to come up around there, but I'm not going to go over it yet. Okay, so I'm going to clean this off. And I'm thinking I'm going to come back with my white now. I wasn't going to, but I think because I do want to put some stuff in front of this little barn. And for that one, I'm going to use this knife. It's got a nice flat edge here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull some white down. Got some white here. So I'm going to say I probably have a line going right across there and then another one right across there. So I'm going to come up to this line and I'm just going to pull down. And I apologize, I'm kind of at an odd angle here, trying to paint sideways so I'm not in front of my camera. Okay, I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to pull it down. Now, my paint behind here is still wet, but that's what's going to give us this kind of really cool old barn feel. Maybe we got some space here in between the barns. Little wood slats. Now this one I'm only going to come down halfway because I'm going to have a door. I'm going to have a door right here. But this I can come down a little bit more. Now if you want more white on yours, you can let this dry and then come back and put more white in it. I'm going to have some of mine probably more white than others. Ooh, that one I picked up some of that gold down there, and that's okay. I like that. Kind of looks like a good wood there. Okay. And then we're going to go up here, and we're going to come down about right. This is a little trickier to do because of that angle, but we want, so let's have some slats like that. I'm going to just kind of come up with my white like that, and then I'm going to come back and pull it down. I'm going to have a little window there, so I'll have something underneath it. I'm going to kind of make these as straight as you can. Whoever was building this barn probably did not put a lot of wiggly barn wood up there. So this is, I'm probably going to go back with some black because I don't really like the location of that. But I'm going to come back and kind of pull this out again and right along there. But I'm going to come back and make it look like, I'm just going to come back up here. Now wood is looking pretty gray. And I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and go back over this to make it look gray, and then I'm going to come back with some white because I like the gray look that's going to be underneath it. Okay, so up here we're going to go and I'm going to kind of try to make this more of a line and kind of bring that down or bring this up, either way. Okay, might cover that up too, although I do like it over there, that big, that will make it so it's not quite so big. Okay. All right, I'm going to be letting that dry. But while I'm letting that dry, I can continue to work on the grasses and things here on the ground down here. So now I'm going to go back and use the, I think this one, or, well, let's see, maybe I want to use this one. This one. They're kind of a real similar shape. One's a little smaller and one's stretched out a little more. But I'm going to use another color now, and I'm going to use it's called Raw Sienna. And I'm going to take me some of that, and I'm just going to come down and kind of mix that in a little bit with the bronze yellow I have there. See, I'm having to go around my camera and up and down. Okay. I'm just going to come right up and come back with some of that gold. And I'm just going to kind of come right up here and right across there. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to be bringing more white down, and then we're also going to be putting like little grasses and weeds and stuff in there. Okay, I'm going to come back. Oops, I keep hitting everything over here. This is a new setup my husband thought of, and it gives, I think, a better picture, but I'm having to get used to where I can put my arms. Okay. And you know, I'm kind of liking not putting any barn doors there. I think I'm going to even this up a little bit maybe, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that. I like that. And you'll find that sometimes when you're painting, you may have an idea of something that you want to do, and then when you actually start doing it, you kind of like it the other way. Now, I do not have a painting that I am going from. I would suggest, if you're going to do something like this, that you do get a photo or something, maybe another painting, something, maybe not another painting. You're not supposed to copy other people's work, but you can see things that are similar to this. And if you go to Pixabay, they've got lots of pictures of old barns or something, and this is kind of an abstract, so you don't have to really worry too much about how it, if it's accurately, the dimensions and everything are accurate. Just gonna kind of play with this and see what we come up with. Now, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, I kind of like this down here. I think I'm going to go a little darker for the very front. And I'm going to use a burnt sienna. We used a raw sienna. That's this kind of color here. And back here I use the bronze yellow. Again, if I had had the yellow ochre, I probably would have used it. It's a little bit lighter, and I think we might need a little bit lighter color there, and I may add something in the future. Okay, so I'm using the same, and I'm coming, the same knife, and I'm coming back in, and I'm just going to kind of mix that in down here, and I'm just going to kind of pull some of that up. I don't want to do too much. And I may, let's see, this is kind of just a really awkward way for me to kind of do this. Okay, so here I'm going to come back, and I'm going to mix it, I think, with some of the raw sienna. I don't want it too dark. I'm going to come back and maybe kind of soften this up over here. Kind of mix those two together. And I apologize for having to turn this on the side, but I cannot reach it the way that I'm sitting with my camera. So I'm going to come back. I might even pull some of this bronze yellow down here. Come back with some darker. And I might come back even here with this and kind of still gotta get something over there. And I'm thinking, while we're looking at this, I'm thinking we probably need to add a tree or two. Something besides just this barn out here in the middle of nowhere. So I've got this all done. Oops. Just kind of want to cover some of that up. And I do like that I brought some of this yellow down. Might add a little bit more. And mix it there. Okay, I'm going to clean my knife. Now I'm looking back at my barn, and I'm thinking it's probably not dry enough yet, so I'm going to not do anything with that right now. But I do think I'm going to dry this, because when I come back, I don't want to really be mixing my colors. I want to put some colors on top of it. So I'm going to stop this for right now, and I'll come back when it's dry. Okay, we are back. I've dried this. It's not solid. If I was to touch it, there's still some spots because it's so thick that would stick, but it's dry enough for me for what I want to do next. So I'm getting some brown, and I've got burnt umber here. And I'm also going to use some raw umber. And I've got a color, I'm not going to use that color. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I want to put in some sticks and stuff in the background. So I'm going to use, again, I'm going to use this shape. Now this and this are really very, pretty much the same thing. This one is just a tiny bit bigger, but they're different. Even though I got these from two different sets. They are in the same, but but I use one, use the other, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to get some of this brown, and I want it up and down. So I want to get like a nice thing there. And I'm going to come in, and this is the lighter brown, and I'm just going to kind of come in and start. I don't want that to look that thick. So I'm going to thin that out and then come back in. And you'll notice that it's not, see, this is a pretty solid line, but the other ones are not necessarily solid. So you can have some solid and some not solid. And you want to put them like in different ways, different heights. This one here I've got pretty much all the same, so I don't want that. So I'm going to come back, maybe do some little shorter ones here. All that I just kind of maybe something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to come back, I'm going to clean that off because you want this line to be real thin. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to get some of this. I just kind of drag it through there and give me a nice thin line. And I'm going to kind of put those in there too. Get some more paint. Okay. Now I'm going to go in, I think I want, before I work more in here and put my tree or whatever in, I'm going to work some more here on the barn. So I'm going to get my kind of flat edge here, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to put in some white. Now this is, you don't want a lot because I've dried this, so it's not going to mix. So when I come in with this one, I am going to drag it though, because I don't want this to be a real solid white. This is old barn wood. I'll pull it down here. And you might say, gosh, that looks like really too white. And if it's too white, you can always go back with some gray. For example, if I'm like, oh, I got too much white there, I can go back and soften that up with some gray. But you do want to be able to see the underneath, because this is weathered and it's not going to be real white like that. You might even want to come back with maybe a little cream color and kind of soften that white so it's not quite so bright. And I might even mix some gray with my white. Just so it's a little dull and not so bright. And I think I like that. It's got just a little touch of gray with it. And you just get some gray there and a little bit of white, mix it together. And then you come back and undo the top. Yeah, nobody's painted this barn for a long time. There, I've got too much gray. I'm going to pull some of it down here. There's a little more white with that. actually going to come back with a little bit of black and kind of insinuate a gap. I covered that gap up earlier, but I think I do want another gap in there. And then I'm going to take the black and I'm going to just kind of even this up a little bit more. It doesn't have to be real even. And then I'm going to come here, maybe put just a little bit more white gray over there before I come back with my black. Bring these up a little higher and bring those down just a little bit lower because I'm going to come back in with some black. So it's okay if they're touching. And I'm going to bring these up a little higher because I'm going to come back with some black. Okay, kind of liking the look of the barn now. And I'm going to clean my knife off, and I'm going to come back with some black. Now I'm going to use a different knife because I need to get that long line there. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to come in and just scrape some of that black, not a lot. And I'm going to come back and I'm just going to kind of pull that across there. And be careful, I don't want to get that black in the blue. Got a little bit in the blue. There, pull that off. Okay, and then maybe a little bit of black in some of these, in between some of these boards. Still don't have any black on there. Just kind of want to, yeah, there we go. Okay, so and maybe some up here. I'm not getting my black on there as good as I'd like, so I'm going to try again. Get a little bit more. And I'm kind of keeping it even with the ones on the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to go back, and I am going to tilt this because I want to get my lines nice and straight. But I'm going to go in right here and just kind of pull those in so they're just going to touch it up a little bit. Turn it upside down here. And I'm just touching this. I've got quite a bit of paint on the back. Okay, so I'm noticing I've got a nice black outline on this side and not so much on this side. So I'm going to come back and put just a little black on this side. Okay. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to use once again, I'm going to use the flat end knife. And I'm going to fix this little window up there. And I'm going to just come back and kind of got that white streak right down the middle, and I need to get rid of that. So I'm going to cover that up. There you go. Now we could put like a little window here, or a little window over on this side maybe. I don't know. Don't know if that's what I want to do or not. I can leave that because I'm not decided. And I want to start working then down here. So I can, for the grasses up around here, I can use this flat edge and just come up and get some of these colors here on the edge. And I'm just going to come up and just kind of put it up here like this. I have a lot of little grasses, little dried grasses or something. I'm going to want to put some brown. I'm going to mix my brown with that color. Now these are very small. These are not, but I'm going to put some little brown things up in here. Brown doesn't show up real well against the black, but go ahead and put it up there anyway. Okay. Now I might even put, let's see, kind of like in my little barn. I just feel like I need some more white over here. So I'm going to, and I would suggest wearing gloves when you're doing an impasto painting. I'm going to use this little tool, and I'm going to come back. I just feel like I need some little white over here. Maybe a little down here. I got some cream, I got some okay. Now I still have, it looks like here where I put my black in, and this is not really the proper, you need a sharp edge to come in here, but I'm going to try to do it with this rounded one, which did not work real well, but I just turn that, there you go. I just kind of wanted to clean that up a little bit. But yeah, it is really messy, and you get a lot of paint on your gloves. As you can see, this is a time I did not get my knife cleaned off, and I've still got some paint on there. You don't want to do that. You want to clean them off so that they're ready to go the next time you use them. All right, so now I'm going to, I think I'm going to put maybe some lighter, a little lighter color back there, and I'm going to use the angled one, and I'm just going to kind of mix this with, I'm going to mix some of this creamy color with this bronze yellow. Remember I was saying I wanted something lighter, Well, let's go ahead and make that up ourselves. And I'm going to just kind of put those in there, just some different put some here in front of the little door. Get some long ones up here. So see, nobody's been in this barn for a while. That's why you can see the grasses. Made it a little bigger than I wanted. Okay, and then I'm going to clean that off. And now I'm thinking, do I want to put a little tree in before I get up here in the front? I want to put a little tree or something back there. And I'm thinking maybe just one little tree over here. So I'm going to start with my raw umber, and I'm using the angled. And let's just say we're just going to put a little tree right here. Just put this little tree right here. Just a little tree. And we're going to come back and, oops. For a tree, I want that to be pretty smooth. I don't want a lot of, and we're just going to kind of come back, put this little tree in here. Put a little black maybe. And pull that in. Need this not to move. I'm going to clean this. It's kind of messy on the back. So I'm going to clean that off so I can get a nice thin line like that. And then I'm going to come in and put my tree limbs in. And I might even want to put a couple of little leaves, a couple of little leaves here and there. Got some little leaves that are kind of hanging around. Maybe some little red leaves, a little bit there. I'll come back and add just a little bit of yellow here into this. I'm needing some more of that dark brown. I might mix it with a little bit of black because I can't see my limbs that well. But that's okay. I don't need to see them really real well, but I do want to be able to see where they go. Okay, do you like that little tree? Just a little tree. We could put another tree on the other side, but I think I'm just going to leave this little guy here by himself. What are we going to do with that little guy? He shouldn't be there. Well, I'm going to come back with some blue, and I'm just going to kind of get rid of him. Clean my knife. I'm going to come back with some of the blue and just kind of cover over there. You're never even going to know that there was a little blobby thing there. Okay, so I think I want my tree, I still want a little bit more. I'll be able to see my tree a little better, my limbs and stuff. So let's see. Add some more black with that brown. That's too, if you look at that, see I've got a big glob there. That will not look good on my tree. So I went back to make it a nice thinner line. Okay. Now I'm getting some, being able to see this little tree a little bit better. Okay, I think I'm just about done with this tree. I'm not, just kind of giving an impression of the tree and where all the little limbs go. Make this a little bit darker here. It's going to be a little thicker limb. Oh, let's put this guy out there. Maybe one little one down there. Okay, I think I'm gonna just about call him done. Whoop. Got another thick one up there. Sometimes when you're after you've been painting for a while, and it starts to get dry, your paint will become kind of sticky. So, and I've been painting here for a little while, but I'm going to come back and just cover over that little blob there. And I think I'm going to be done with that. Now I'm going to come back in, and with my brown, I'm going to come in and maybe do just a little old, maybe at some point there was a little walkway that walked into that barn. It's got grass growing up in it now, so it's not want to take some of that brown, go right up in here. Take some more brown. I got some black in there. I'm thinking I'm going to mix some brown in there more. And then I'm going to come up next to it, to all those little things. I'm going to put some more brown, just maybe a little bit more brown out here. And some out here. I'm using the burnt umber for this, not the dark brown. Whoops. I'm making a mess over here. Now my undercoat is dry, so that's why it's not blending. I'm going to come back and we're going to put some little stuff growing up along here. And some growing up here. We got a lot of I'm using this one, making that thin. Some different grasses growing up. I'm going to kind of have them go different ways. I'm going to put actually some brown in too, even though I've got some brown. Oops, got some yellow in there. I wanted some brown. Now this is just a fun painting. This isn't meant to be realistic looking. This is just a fun impasto painting that you could make like in an afternoon. And maybe I need a little bit of red. I think we need a little red. I'm going to put some more right here. I need to get some more red. It's actually burnt sienna. Just need a little bit more of that. Got a lot of the red underneath, so I'm going to kind of cross over some of this thicker yellow that I've got in here with the red. again, I realize I'm saying red, but it's actually burnt sienna. But it's got a red tone to it. And let's go back here. Add some back there. Now, I went ahead and took my finger and colored in these sides. I still have to do the bottom, which I'll do that. But let's put a little creamy gray right in here. Just kind of want to lighten that up just a little bit. I think we're about ready to call this one done. You can, change the colors up. Well, you know what? I think I'm going to add just a little bit more of that lighter color that I've got in here some places, and let's just put a little bit of that down here too. That way we'll have different, it won't all be one shade. We'll have some of those lighter ones down here. Don't want them just in the back. And sometimes you might need to step back away from your painting for a while. Hold it in front of a mirror, and if there's something on it that doesn't look like right, but you're just not quite sure what the problem is, that normally will point it out for you real quick. But I just realized I didn't have any of the lighter color down there. Just wanted to add a variety of colors. Okay, I think we're done. Well, let's see. I always say that, don't I? I need to quit saying I think we're done, because I'm never sure that we're done. Because I can always go back and add something. I wanted to add this lighter color in my tree just so it would feel connected. Not like it was out there by itself doing something totally different than the rest of the painting. Still feel like I need a little darker back here. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, I think we're going to call it done. I hope you enjoyed this painting, and I hope you'll come back the next time.